You've talked about musical influences. What about like literary influences and things like that? Is there anything like that? Any sort of books and stuff you may have been reading at the time? You know, things that you may have been exposed to as a result of punk?
Perhaps like my first real introduction to subversive art. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or let's talk about important things. I didn't get into it for those reasons. You know, I think that when I was a kid, I was a geeky sci-fi kid, into all kinds of Ray Bradbury kind of books, which eventually led me to read like Fahrenheit 451. You know, which was like, you know, I was reading because I was into like the whole sci-fi aspect of it, but all of a sudden I was like, wait, there are bigger underlying messages happening here. Books like 1984 by George Orwell, of course, you know, or Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. You know, all these things that I sort of got into because I was just interested in reading this type of literature, and then, you know, as I grew up and sort of just see the parallels in, you know, Brave New World's idea of the world and the world that we are living today, and then realize, wait, these are all social commentaries. Yeah. These are all like predictions. You know what I mean? Sure. These are all prophecies. You know, and I think that coupled with, you know, being turned on by bands like Black Flag and Minor Threat, you know, sort of is created, you know, the person that I became.
Those books are out there. I think people should not, you know, take advantage of those books.
I had a band early on that it was our first little stab at a political song, and we had read Animal Farm. And we had a song called 4 Legs Good, 2 Legs Bad. And that was Forbidden Cause.
This cause is forbidden.
I was 14. But that was my first political book that I read, I think, and I didn't quite understand it at the time, but then I started kind of understanding it, and then got kind of like as pissed off as a 14-year-old kid could get, you know, like, fuck them, man.
I read that book and completely missed, you know, the message. You know?
Yeah.
I read the book and it went way over my head, and then it wasn't until years later that, you know, put the pieces together and was like, whoa.
On the new record, you got a song called the Kotov Syndrome. You want to explain the metaphor around that?
Bobby Fischer died this year.
Yeah.
And I was reading an article, and I kind of missed the whole Bobby Fischer thing. Like, I didn't really know the whole story. And so I read his, you know, the article about him, and I was like completely engrossed in him. And somehow I got into, you know, some of his history, and I started talking about chess playing, and it mentioned the Kotov Syndrome, and I was like, what's that? You know, and I look it up, and the Kotov Syndrome is like, it's a chess phenomenon that a chess player named Kotov, a Russian chess player, described in a book that he wrote as something that often happened to him. He would be undecided about what he was going to do, what his next move was, wait until the clock almost ran out, and then make a drastic move that was almost always like a game-losing move.
Yeah.
He would just sit there and wait, and then when it came out the last second, he just moved something just to do it.
Yeah.
And it almost always lost him the game. And after he described that in his book, like, chess players around the world said, I always do that. You know, they were like, that's totally something I do, you know? Yeah. And it became dubbed the Kotov Syndrome. And I thought this song kind of relates that to, like, everyday life. You know what I mean? How we put things off, or we were so overwhelmed by everything, or we were so under the spotlight to deliver on something that we put it off until we can't put it off anymore, and we make a decision and it's too late. And then the decision, you know, is a bad decision.
The third record with Bill?
More records with Bill than not with Bill, I guess, out of our 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so my 8th.
Yeah.
Wow.
Zach's been going to Bill
there you
since
go.
8th or 9th.
he was a little one.
78.
What are some of the bands you've been in? And
Well, it was all punk and then Guar. I had all punk bands and then a metal band.
Hagfish.
Hagfish,
of
Guar,
course.
Only Crime, which
Only
was the
Crime.
band with Bill Stevenson.
Of course.
We've all
Bill
toured together.
Stevenson of the Descendants. U.S. presidential election, the absolute gong show that it's been.
The comedy of. But I'm going for Obama.
Yeah.
Or Biden.
Or Biden.
Or Biden.
It seems, fingers crossed, but I mean, you pretty much can't. You don't have much faith in the voting system nowadays. If Bush completely lost the election the first time, and he was president for those 4 years, so just keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah.
The way it seems that the whole election process is gone is that it's more of a beauty competition now.
It's scary. It's a comedy. You know what I mean? Like Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
Like really, this is somebody that.
Yeah, but it's a very frightening comedy.
It is. It's a frightening comedy.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's
It really
funny,
is.
but it's
Right.
it's
It's a
It's a
terrifying.
serious game.
More importantly, it represents like an administration that has failed the last 8 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't want another 4 years of that. You know, and we need a different outlook, a different perspective.
We got plenty of room up here.
I'm bringing some.
Pitch a tent in the yard.
I have a moving truck coming on Saturday. So
Okay,
expect
all right.
it.
Sounds
And you guys have veggie dog stands.
We do have veggie dog
Yeah.
stands. That's the keystone in any great democracy is veggie dog stands. This is Strange Notes. You're welcome. New music video, which I got to see online.
Oh, you did?
I did, yeah, and it's exciting. Are you suggesting that people should get bombs and start like? Are you suggesting that protest is dead? I mean, like, where were your heads at in the creation of that video?
There's a couple different things going on. The video starts. What's important about this video too, that it starts with a quote from JFK that says, "Those who make nonviolent revolution impossible make violent revolution inevitable." And it's talking about, leaving people with options and choices, because when people feel like they're backed up against a wall, they'll do anything. And the history has shown that they have done anything. And it's talking about the repercussions of certainly the American government right now, the Bush administration, like limiting all of our rights, stripping us of civil liberties, taking people out of the equation with things like election fraud. And leaving people with less and less options, to the point where like people will do anything. When backed up against the wall, people will do anything. You know what I mean? And so the video is kind of like this sort of no holds barred, like we're sick of whispering about this or like not talking about this. So we're gonna put it in your face. Like this is a reality. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
And it's certainly, it's also in a world where we are inundated by so much media every day. It's hard to get people's attention. You need something like that to really get someone to stop and say, whoa, what was up with that? You know what I mean? What's going on with that? Like, what's going on with that video? I want to know what's going on, and that's kind of something that this band's been good at, is I think of just trying to get in people's faces and drastic times call for drastic measures, and that video was certainly one.
Sure.
So, and it's also like a little symbolism, what you're talking about, starting fresh. Talking about the symbolism of, destroying the social constructs that we have out there right now and starting over. And obviously there's a lot of this that we've tried to sum up in a 3-minute music video that's going to be lost in translation. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone's going to get that from it, but it's going to get people thinking. It's going to create a conversation and a dialogue, which is awesome. I think that we did a couple videos on the last record that were really thought-provoking, and we ended up talking about them for like another year in interviews all the time, which was awesome. We created this conversation. We also did one video that was like, more like I guess like an artsy sort of side,
Sure.
And that video wasn't talked about. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was a video, it was cool. You know what I mean? But it was like, whatever. It was like a blip on the radar. It was just like given the opportunity to do these videos, and who knows how much longer someone's gonna give us the opportunity, why not create something that's gonna put a lasting impression in someone's head and maybe even talk about something that's bigger than this band.
guys. Excited about the new record, and thank you very much.
George, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Yes.
Good to see you.
That was great. That was really good. Thanks a lot.